3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the Palatial yet not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network, this is a Wednesday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all of our great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, Channel 158, that free Odyssey app, and of course streaming live on YouTube. 855-212-4227 is the number to jump on in, 855-212-4227. You could always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter, at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. I have Ryan Botcher with me today. I have Stuart Kovacs with me today, and we'll be rocking and rolling, jamming on out all the way up until 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. We have a loaded guest list today. Justin Termini's going to stop by 20 minutes from now, Sirius XM NBA Radio, at 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. Big guests, which I've been working on all throughout the week and even going back to last week. Stephon Marbury will stop by. Very, very, very excited to talk to Stephon Marbury. It is a Winkler Wednesday that will come your way with Bart Winkler at 4:40 p.m. Eastern Time. And then we'll preview the PGA Championship with Alex Myers from Golf Digest at 5:20 p.m. Eastern Time today. I need to start off, though, with the New York Knicks. And there are two topics of conversation with the Knicks. Number one, it's praise of Jalen Brunson. And number two, it is the long overdue praise of Tom Thibodeau. So let's start with Brunson first. And I'll be a little bit more passionate about Tom Thibodeau second. What Jalen Brunson has done all throughout the season is incredible. And I understand the NBA regular season product is bland, it's vanilla, and you're trying to figure out who is actually going to play. The Knicks, and the beauty of the Knicks, is that they're the antithesis of that. We don't see star players missing games just to miss games with the Knicks. This is a team that is gritty, they are tough, and most importantly, they are a good team that has exceeded all expectations. That's just the reality of the situation. Even Knicks fans will tell you, or maybe they won't because they have pride and they have ego, but no one walked into this season and looked at this team and said, they're going to be the 2 seed in the Eastern Conference, or they would be 1 win away from going to the Eastern Conference Finals. No one would have said that. And this series has had its ups and downs where they were up 2-0, and I was at that electric game too. Then they go back to Indiana with a 2-0 lead. They lose a game in game 3 that was heartbreaking. And then in game 4, they got absolutely annihilated. Now, I have a very good friend here at the Infinity Sports Network. You may have heard of him. His name is Ryan Hickey. Hot Take Hickey. And Hickey will always pick his team. Hickey will always pump up his team. And before this series, Hickey said, hey, Knicks are going to win this series in 5 games. And I said, I think the Knicks are going to win the series, Ryan. But isn't that a little disrespectful to the Indiana Pacers? And last night, as I'm walking out of the studio, and I'm having my conversation, my chat with Hickey, I said, what do you think about tonight? And remember, this is coming off the massacre of Game 4, where the Knicks got emasculated. They have so many injuries. Julius Randle out for the year. Hardenstein now dealing with the shoulder. Mitch Robinson out for the year. You have OG Anunoby with the hamstring injury that occurred in Game 2 where he ran right past me and he was screaming, oh, bleep, oh, bleep, oh, bleep. And it's not because I was sitting behind the bench. It's because his hamstring was hurting him. And Hickey looked at me with a bleep-eating grin, and he said, you know what, I'm nervous. And when Hickey says he's nervous, and when Hickey starts to doubt his team, I was like, uh-oh. The Knick fan, their confidence is really shook. Their confidence has gone down the drain. And last night wasn't only a Knicks victory. The Knicks embarrassed the Pacers. And the Indiana Pacers, and I'll give Hickey credit, because at first I shredded him for saying Knicks in 5. And it's obviously not going to be Knicks in 5 because we're going to a Game 6 with the Knicks having a 3-2 lead. But if the Knicks were healthy, this series wouldn't even be close. There is such a difference between the Knicks and the Pacers. And if you can't see it, I don't know what game you're watching. Like, the Knicks are doing this where you have Alec Burks making a role in this series. It's wild to me. He's making a play in this. Starting Deuce McBride actually matters. Like, when you look at these changes. So you see what the Knicks are doing right now. It's surreal. It's sensational. And you look at this team, this should only be a good team. I don't think this is a great team, but they're playing like one. They beat the Sixers. Jalen Brunson was a star. Jalen Brunson's been a star all season. You know, he should have been a finalist for the MVP if you go by the true definition of most valuable player. But last night, with him practically playing on one foot, because he suffered that foot injury in the second game of this series. And then from there, you go on to game 3, clearly hobbled. Game 4, he's clearly hobbled. And to see what Jalen Brunson did in game 5, where this dude just rolls out of bed, could have one foot, and he puts up 40-something points. He had 44 points last night, Jalen Brunson. And this dude has been great his entire life. You may not have known it, but if you see what he did at Villanova, and I was at a lot of those Villanova games, and you see that killer mentality, and he won championship and National Player of the Year, this dude's just a winner. And you look at him, you don't think he's a great player. Like, just by the eye test, you're not saying, oh, this guy's a great player when you just size him up. But he was a great player in college, and now, after having some good moments in Dallas, remember when they got to a Western Conference Finals, when he was with the Mavericks, and the Mavericks didn't pay him, and then Leon Rose, who knows him better than anybody because of his relationship with the Brunson family, they brought him to New York. And what did people say when they brought him to New York? Overpay. 4 years, $104 million. Oh, no, he's not paid enough. In the NBA league, where they usually overpay a lot of players, like you look at some of the guys, like, how is this dude making $25 million a year? Jalen Brunson's not one of them. Jalen Brunson is a star. Jalen Brunson is sensational. And he just finds a way. And not only did he find a way last night on 1 foot with 44 points, taking a 3-2 series lead, the game wasn't even close. Sometimes you usually have to sweat out those epic postseason victories. This was a 30-point victory for the New York Knicks. And now all the pressure goes to Indiana. It shows you momentum. We talk about momentum. We obsess over momentum. We have no clue what momentum is. That's what I've learned in this NBA postseason. The Nuggets were down 0-2. Now they're up 3-2. Everyone thought, including yours truly, that series was over. The Knicks were up 2-0. Now, and then they were tied at 2-2. Now they're up 3-2 when everyone thought they were going to lose last night. Now, even look at Dallas and the Thunder. In that fourth quarter, when it started, you're thinking Dallas is going to go up 3-1. Now, OKC with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, they win that game down the stretch. It's 2-2, and now you think the Thunder are going to win. You can't predict this NBA postseason right now. And I'm not the biggest NBA fan because the regular season product, for the most part, is garbage. But this has been exciting. This has been fun. And there's no super team. And you are seeing these great dynamic duos. You really are. But here's where the Knicks are different. The Knicks aren't a dynamic duo right now. Like, don't get me wrong. Josh Hart's a good player. Dante DiVincenzo's a good player. But they don't have a legit number. Like, Isaiah Hartenstein had 17 rebounds last night. I couldn't even believe that. It's wild. You look at the Mavericks. They have Luka. They have Kyrie. The Nuggets. They have Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. The Celtics. They have Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown. Like, you look at these teams. The Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns. They have legitimate 2 stars. Some people didn't want to call Jalen Brunson a star until they started watching him play in the postseason. He's a star. Julius Randle, he's supposed to be the next star, but he's out, he's hurt. And to be able to do this is just magnificent. It is really crazy. And that leads to a man that's deserving of credit. And you had so many dopes that after game 4, they're like, oh, Tom Thibodeau, he's too demanding. He coaches too hard. That's why all the Knicks are injured. Shut up. All Tom Thibodeau has done since he's come to New York has win basketball games. He's won basketball games. No one thought this team was going to be a win away from going to the Eastern Conference Finals before the year started. No one thought this team was going to be a 2 seed. And Tom Thibodeau gets the most out of this team. And they are exceeding expectations. And it's because of his demanding coaching style. It's because he makes these players grind, and he wants a team that's full of grit. Because if you look at this roster, they can't just win on talent alone. They need to go the extra mile or two. And that's what Tom Thibodeau demands. And for some reason, because we coddle all these players right now with this load management bull crap, and you have to put all these players in bubble wrap, when a coach actually makes his players play and he plays them and he requires them to just be tough dudes, all of a sudden you get players saying, oh, I don't want to play for Tom Thibodeau. Well, I don't want you on my team. And this dude has been unbelievable. He has been sensational. And it's time we start, and I'm on a national show, we start giving Tom Thibodeau more national praise. Because this dude doesn't get enough praise. What he has done with this team is sensational. And they'll win one more game. I don't think Indiana's finding a way to win Game 6 and Game 7. And I get it, the Knicks are the walking wounded, but they were the walking wounded last night, and they won the game by 30 points. You can put your feet up in the fourth quarter and pop open a few beers and some champagne. And who's going to drink champagne? You get the point. And eat a bunch of popcorn, for crying out loud. And look what Tom Thibodeau's doing. Tom Thibodeau is the perfect coach for Jalen Brunson. He's a perfect coach for Josh Hart, Isaiah Hardenstein, Dante DiVincenzo. I love what I'm seeing from Coach Tom Thibodeau. I really am. And you know what? He used to come on my show a lot when we were in the 6 to 10 p.m. Eastern time slot, and even when I was doing the weekend overnights from 2 to 6 a.m. Eastern time. And back in June of 2019, when he was out of a job, I asked him just straight up about his aggressive coaching style, his demanding coaching style, and how maybe he needs to change that to get another job, because that's maybe why people were holding back on going all in with Tom Thibodeau. And this is what he had to say back in June of 2019. Your coaching style is always under the spotlight. Hey, you're not the first coach to be aggressive and demanding. I don't think you're going to be the last. What do you have to change, though, with your coaching style? Because the athlete now is different, and some athletes expect to be coddled.
Well, I think you're always, you're looking to learn and grow. You never want to stay the same. So, you want to study the trends of the game. I think you want to study, who the players are, how you motivate them, how you communicate with them, those types of things. And there's all different personalities in terms of coaching. So I think the most important thing is you have to be yourself. You have to stay true to yourself. And you have to have the things that you believe in. I think I have a pretty good understanding of what wins in this league. I'm just looking forward to the right opportunity.
You got to stay true to yourself, and you have a good understanding of what wins in this league, and you have to get the right opportunity. Tom Thibodeau has stayed true to himself. He clearly knows that his style can win in this league and exceed the expectations that have occurred out of the New York Knicks, regardless how the rest of the season goes, and he needed the right spot. And what Leon Rose is building with Worldwide West, with this team, how they are not a great team on paper, was the perfect landing spot for Tom Thibodeau. And look at what Tom Thibodeau has done with this squad. It's time to put some respect on Tibbs' name. 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. Whole lot to do today. We'll come on back. We'll talk some more hoops with SiriusXM NBA radio host Justin Termody. He'll join us on the other side.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Infinity Sports Network.
Crazy night of hoops last night. Knicks blow out the Pacers by 30 points. And then the Nuggets have won 3 straight games to take a 3-2 series lead up against the Minnesota Timberwolves. We saw 40 points from Nikola Jokic. We saw 44 points from Jalen Brunson. And now joining us from SiriusXM NBA Radio, you can catch him Monday through Friday from 4 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. He is Justin Termini. Justin, appreciate the time as always. How you been, my man?
I'm doing well. I mean, it's an easy day to do a show. You can't talk about last night with your eyes closed basically for 3 hours, which I'm about to do, then you can't do the job because last night was something else in both games.
So we led the show today with the excellence of Jalen Brunson, but then we really did hammer home the point that people need to start giving Tom Thibodeau more credit. I know you were talking about that throughout the game and how a lot of people after Game 4 were getting on his demanding coaching style, and now today it's all praise for Tom Thibodeau.
Yeah, well, it hasn't just been like after Game 4, oh, Thibodeau pleases guys too much. I mean, it's been for years, and you can't please anybody because everybody's ripping people for, like, load managing. Then you're ripping Tom Thibodeau for actually making guys go out there and work. So, like, where's the happy medium? And guess what? This is a guy that's doing all of this with the roster that he's been given. So how about turning it around a little bit and saying, hey, he's missing his starting power forward, a guy that's made an All-NBA team the last couple of years. He's missing OG Anunoby now. He's missing the starting center from the beginning of the year. He's missing his leading scorer off the bench in the postseason in Bogdanovich, and he's got him on the precipice of going to the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, what do we hear in Philadelphia, Zach, every single year? Oh, well, we haven't reached the conference finals because, like, this guy's banged up and Embiid. We hear it with Giannis the last couple of years, like he hurts the knee in the first round, they lose to Miami. This year they lose again. Like, it's always an excuse for these different teams. Yet Thibodeau's losing guys left and right, and they're about to go to the Eastern Conference Finals.
How far are you willing to go on your praise, just wondering, of Jalen Brunson when you look at the entirety of the league?
I mean, I think he's been the second best player in the postseason. It's been Jokic and him. So, I mean, I think that's pretty high praise. Is that a fair assessment? Because I think there's a gap between Jokic and him right now in the postseason, but there's a gap between Jokic and everybody in the sport right now. He's one of the 15, maybe 20 best players in the history of the sport and climbing. And then you got Brunson, and nobody thought this was possible. Regular season, I voted him fourth for MVP behind only Jokic, Luka, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and he's been even better in the postseason.
When he enters next season, Jalen Brunson, from a national perspective, do you think people will refer to him as a top 10 player in the league?
I mean, you have to based off this year, and I guess we'll see what he does like the rest of this series, what he does in the conference finals. Jason Tatum's viewed as a top 10 player in the league. He's probably viewed as like a top 7 player in the league. First team All-NBA last year, should make it again here this year, I would assume, and if he outplays him against Boston, then I think that'll help out his case as well. But he already outplayed an MVP and Embiid in the first round, and right now he's been the best player on this series as well.
Talking to Justin Termini from Sirius XM NBA Radio. Okay, let's get to the other game last night. What has happened? We know how great Jokic is, and we know that Denver is the champions, and they weren't going to go out easy. But this was 2-0 going back to Minnesota. Now it's 3-2. Going back to Minnesota in favor of Denver. What have you really seen, and what's been your big takeaways from the last 3 games?
I mean, do we really know how good Nikola Jokic is? Because I turn in, and I'm not talking about you, but people in our industry. I mean, he's down 0-2, and, maybe he didn't deserve even 1 MVP, never mind 3. Then you'll look at what this guy's done right now. Last night was his master. Last night was the best game that he's ever played. I think, Zach, he's he's arguably the greatest offensive player I've ever seen. And I don't say that lightly, and it's not just because of last night. I've been saying it for a while. You can throw him up there with Michael and Bird and Magic and Curry. I'm not saying all-around player because clearly he's not the defender that Michael was. But when you just look at the offensive side, he is as good as there has ever been. And I think last night was the best game that he ever played, especially when you consider what was at stake in regards to maybe falling behind 3-2. And then you take into consideration that he's doing it against whether you think he's the defensive player of the year or not. He's done it 4 times, and Rudy Gobert did it against him, did it against the best defense in the NBA. So you roll all that into one. I think it was the best performance of his career. And even before last night, I felt that he was one of the best offensive players in the history of the sport.
Yeah, and to people that are still skeptical and they're like, I don't want to eventually say he'll be a top 10 player of all time. Like, the way that I'll just say it is, and there's been a big debate on Kevin Durant recently, where we know he's in the top 20, probably in the top 15, but to me, he's not in the top 10. When it's all said and done, we will talk more glowingly about Nikola Jokic than Kevin Durant. I think that's how you get some people to understand it right now in the moment.
Yeah, well, you should be doing that already. I mean, I was on with Simmons last night on his podcast, and he said he's a top 15 guy, and I brought up the name Kevin Durant. I said he's got to be ahead of Durant. Yeah. Now we're talking like, Shaq, Hakeem, guys like that. We're not talking about Durant anymore. This guy's got 3 MVPs. Durant has 1. Durant needed Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green to win a championship. I think Jamal Murray's awesome. He's not Steph Curry. He's maybe Klay Thompson, and he's not the all-around guy that Klay Thompson is because Klay was a better defender. He's never made an all-star game. He hasn't been fantastic in this postseason, so he is better. He's a better player already than Kevin Durant, and he's only 28 years of age, and he's got several years to add to the legacy.
And here's the crazy part to me. I don't get why some people hate on Nikola Jokic. They're like, he's boring. Like, I watch him play. The passing, the way he hits some of these shots, I've never seen anything like him at his size and how just well diverse his game is. It's amazing to me how people watch him and they go, oh, he's boring.
Well, those are the people I would never want to play like pickup basketball with. If they think that Nikola Jokic is boring, because that might be my first pick in regards to the guy that I want to play with, right? And to me, I'll give you the list right now, and I don't mean to like bring up Mount Rushmore because I don't like that, but he's on the level of the three other guys that I've enjoyed watching the most throughout my years living, and that's Magic, Bird, Steph Curry, and him. Now, there's been better players, Michael, LeBron. But I didn't get as much joy out of watching those guys as I got out of watching those four guys, meaning Curry, Bird, Magic, and Jokic. And at least with Jokic, Magic, and Bird, they had something very, very similar. All four of them are just very unselfish. And three of them are three of the five best passers of all time. Curry's not in that mix for the best passer of all time, but he is unselfish as all could be.
Wrap it up with Justin Termini. Okay, let me get to the other two series. Celtics and Cavs, you have no Donovan Mitchell tonight. It feels like he's probably played his final game with the Cavs. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, which is unfortunate because Cleveland's an awesome sports town. And all you've heard with Donovan Mitchell for years and years is, oh, I want Miami. Oh, I want New York. Oh, I want Los Angeles. And clearly the Knicks have been taken out of the mix because he is not as good as Donovan Mitchell is. He is not Jalen Brunson in my estimation. Brunson has kicked his butt 2 consecutive years in the postseason. He did it last year with New York. He did it the year before when he was in Dallas and Donovan Mitchell was in Utah. And he's not getting the spotlight away from Jalen Brunson. So I guess it's Miami, it's LA, or it's Brooklyn, but it seems like the guy is desperate to get there, which again, I feel bad for the Cavs fans.
So where's your confidence with your Celtics? Like, hey, they're going to win this series. I think they'll beat either New York or Indiana. I think they have a pretty good road to get to the finals. You've been saying that all throughout the year. The question is, do you believe that they'll finally get the job done now in the NBA Finals with this group?
Well, I mean, they better get there because if they don't, that's one of the more, regardless of who it comes against, and the Knicks just scare me because they don't have nearly the talent, but I mean, they play hard, and they've been playing at a high level for months now. It seems like the Celtics have been sleepwalking, and I guess rightfully so. They haven't really had to wake up, and I think that could be a punch to the jaw next round when they're facing like Josh Hart running around 1,000,000 miles per hour. But they get to the finals, and it's against, if it's against Minnesota, if it's against OKC or Dallas, who I don't see getting there because they're too banged up, I think they can beat those teams. I just don't see any way that they're going to beat Denver if they get there.
Now, let me get to the Mavericks and the Thunder. It looked like Dallas is going to take a 3-1 series lead. Then SGA happened down the stretch. Now it feels like the Thunder are going to win this series. Or is the Thunder your pick, or are you going with the Mavericks?
No, yeah, I got to go with Oklahoma City right now just because of the health of Luka Doncic. If Luka is healthy, I think it's pretty clear Dallas would have won the series because even last game, it was a 4-point game. It came down really to free throw shooting. They were 12-23, which is absolutely unacceptable. But Luka has played, I think, so far in the 8 postseason games, it's 4 of his 8 worst postseason games of his career. So he's just with the knee. I'm not going to crush the guy, but, in some cases you can crush a guy. James Harden doesn't perform well in the postseason. He seems like he's perfectly healthy. Crush him. Luka's hurt, and they're not going to be able to win if Luka's hurt. So I got OKC. So
we all know the Joker's the best player in the league. When you wrap out Justin Termini's top 5 players in the league right now, who are your top 5 players?
Oh, God. So that's difficult putting me on the spot like that. But Jokic is clearly number 1. I would still go with Giannis at number 2. Luka's, maybe I would put Luka at number 2. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's now done it, I think, 2 years in a row. So put him in the top 4. And then maybe there's a little bit of a gap after that, like from 4 to 5. But really, there's also a massive gap between 1 and 2. Maybe Embiid, just because Embiid won the MVP last year. But are we getting sick of watching Joel Embiid? Not like Jason Tatum's outperformed him in the postseason several different occasions. There's other better players in the postseason than Embiid. But, Embiid's in the mix, I guess, for the 5th spot along with a couple of other guys.
Yeah, the only reason I asked this is because when you go through this conversation, you just kind of realize how good of a spot the NBA is moving forward because we don't have Durant, we don't have LeBron, Steph Curry anymore in the playoffs. And you look at these teams, we know what Tatum's done with the Celtics. You look at the Knicks and their great story with the Jalen Brunson. We talked about the Mavs with Luka, SGA with the Thunder, Joker, and Murray with the Nuggets. And then obviously Anthony Edwards with the Timberwolves. This is a fun time to be an NBA fan. And that's kind of been my takeaway this postseason is that the younger guard, the new guard is here, and it's been spectacular.
100%. Like LeBron went there and sat, and I guess I'm bringing up his name now, but he sat out at that Cavs game. I refuse to talk about it.
That was an attention-seeking moment.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, it's not your turn, buddy. It's Anthony Edwards' turn. It's Luka's turn. It's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's turn. It's Tatum's turn. It's Jokic's turn. And I'm completely fine with that because I'm loving these guys, and I'm also loving the attitude from these guys as well with Anthony Edwards going, you know what, it's on me. I'm the reason that we lost Game 3. I thought that was refreshing. Tom Thibodeau going like, hey, listen, I'm not using injuries as an excuse. That's refreshing, and that's something I don't think we saw with that older guard where it's Frank Vogel's fault. Oh, it's Darvin Ham's fault. I love the fact that these guys kind of have a little bit of a different attitude, and it's refreshing that we're upon a new era here, Zach.
You could listen to Justin Termini on Sirius XM NBA Radio Monday through Friday from 4 to 7 p.m. Eastern. JT, appreciate it as always.
All right, buddy. Appreciate you having me on.
You got it. There he is, Justin Termini, always full of energy, joining us on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We will take a timeout. The Nuggets have gone from almost being down and out to now in control of the series. We will talk about the greatness of Nikola Jokic next. Well, talking about greatness, though, Ak is back in the studio, and he's ready to rock and roll with the latest Infinity Sports Network update.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Most usually say slightly better than mediocre, but thank you. This report is sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save nearly $750 on average. Call or click today to find out if they could save you hundreds on your car insurance. It's been a few weeks since the draft, so now time to start planning for 2024. And the NFL schedule be announced tonight. The 2 Christmas Day games will reportedly feature the defending champion Chiefs and the Steelers, as well as 2 other AFC contenders in the Ravens and Texans. The season will open, of course, Thursday, September 5th, with the Chiefs beginning their title defense against Baltimore. The Celtics were the NBA's best team in the regular season. That has held up so far in the playoffs. They got past the Heat in 5 games and will try to do the same against the Cavaliers tonight, up 3-1 and hosting Game 5. Donovan Mitchell uncertain again due to a calf injury. The Thunder host the Mavericks with that series even at 2. Baseball today, the Brewers have 5 home runs, including Jackson Chorio's 5th, and lead the Pirates 10-2 top of the 8th. Marlins in top of the Tigers 2-0 in the bottom of the 9th. Top 9, it's the Blue Jays 2, Orioles 1. The White Sox lead the Nationals 1-0 top 6. I'm Rich Ackerman.
The Infinity Sports Network is on your smart speaker. All you have to say is play Infinity Sports Network. That's it. Play Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Infinity Sports Network.
We will show Ryan Botcher's t-shirt coming up momentarily. We'll have a big reveal. Hopefully Botcher doesn't flash us like what I saw in New York City the other day. Do you guys have any idea? Did you guys see this story where there was an OnlyFans model? They have this thing in the city, which I guess is new, which I don't know why people would run up to this thing. It's probably some stupid, dopey tourist thing. But they basically have like a big circle and it's a camera. And you could see people in New York City if you walk up to the camera, and it goes back to Dublin, and you could see people in Dublin. And an OnlyFans model in New York City who was looking pretty good, if you know what I'm saying, did flash her hooters. How do we not get dumped here on the radio? Her tatas? Is that okay?
That's
right?
fine.
All right.
Those two are good.
If Pete the Body Bilotti was here, he probably would have already dumped me about 13 seconds ago. But she flashed the girls to the fine folks in Dublin. And it's kind of funny when you watch the video because I'm like, is it on a delay? Like, do the people in Dublin not realize what's going on? And then you saw one person's face in Dublin as it's reflected back to you, the screen from Dublin to New York City, and you're like, oh, this is what's going on. So We'll show you Botcher's shirt in just a second. Hopefully Botcher, though, doesn't flash us. No offense, Ryan. Good-looking kid, but we don't need to see Ryan Botcher without a shirt on.
No promises.
Okay. Jeez.
Joking.
Maybe Botcher should start an OnlyFans. I'm sure there'd be a lot of people in the YouTube chat that would be signing up for the Botcher OnlyFans.
I hope not.
A lot of people big fans of Ryan
That's my
Botcher.
lowest point then.
Yeah, that'd be pretty damn low. But if you go make like $400,000, $500,000 a year, could be worth it. It's time to ask the pros, where you, the listener, gets to ask us a question. It's brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply tweet your question at INF Sportsnet or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag Ask the Pros. Be listening later in the show when we might answer your question. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Do we have like a 3-shot? Stu, could we get a 3-shot so we could show Botcher's awesome shirt, which this movie never gets old whatsoever. So you ready to go, Botcher? You ready to show on the YouTube? Stand up, model a little bit.
No, I can't stand. I gotta.
Why can't you stand up?
Because the camera shot is weird.
Oh yeah, right there. Stop. So Botcher is wearing the McLovin license from the movie Superbad that came out in 2007. Isn't it funny how many people you know that look like McLovin? So obviously here at the network, Andrew Perloff was called McLovin on the Dan Patrick Show for all those years. I have a friend from college that looks just like McLovin. Like, actually, it looks more like McLovin than Perloff does. And I was at that Sixers-Knicks game, the elimination game, and I'm walking out of the building, and I start to see two people fighting. There was, how do I say this politely? A husky Knicks fan fighting a Sixers fan, and this dude, a lot of gabagol, all right? He was just pummeling away this one Sixers fan. And I turn around because you hear the commotion. And I'm not usually someone that is recording fights. I don't like to be that guy. I like to get away from the fight. If someone needs help, maybe walk over and try to rip them off. But there was so many people in front of me. So in that one moment of weakness, I said, I'm going to record this. Could be some good content. And the next thing I know, I look up, and it's my friend McLovin from college. Now, he wasn't in the fight, and I talked to him afterwards. I'm like, what the heck were you doing? And he is a scrawny kid. He was trying to rip the Knicks fan off of the Sixers fan. Not that he knew either one of them, because they were impeding his exit from the arena. Because in the section we were in, that guy was that large, you couldn't walk around him. He was taking up the entire exit as he was pummeling the Sixers fan. And the video is funny because he was actually more effective than the security guards. There's one security guard that's like, oh, break it up. And then you got my buddy from college who looks just like McLovin. He ripped this. I don't know how he did it because the guy is like 3 times the size of my buddy. He basically ripped the guy off and stopped the fight. So you go to a Sixers-Knicks game in Philadelphia, you never know what the heck is going to happen. But that's a very good T-shirt. I like that T-shirt. Well, when did you get that shirt since the movie did come out in 2007?
3 years ago?
Okay.
2 years ago?
What was that? Just like in a mall or something you got that T-shirt or no?
No idea where I got it.
Oh, really?
Like, I don't know. Hot top.
Blacked out, Botcher? You don't remember where you got it?
I don't remember
Late
where I
night
got a lot of
purchase?
things. I buy a lot of shirts randomly.
You do? Online? You a big online shopper?
Not really. Just random stores in the mall.
Okay.
Walk around.
Gotcha. So I'm always, I'm weird. I feel like I'm an old man, even though I'm not. I buy a lot of things online, but you have no clue when you're buying something online how it's going to fit. And I hate when you buy something and then you got to return it. That annoys, even though it's like free, they send you back the label and everything. It just annoys me when you got to figure out, you got to walk to the store and then you push it off. It's like, oh, return it. And then, you got to do so in 30 days. So I prefer to go into the store to buy my shirts. But, when you're the size of me, you can't be too picky. So anyway, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Stu, I'm just curious. When we get into the greatness of Nikola Jokic, who has won 3 MVPs now, has an NBA championship, has a finals MVP, it looked like they were going to get eliminated in this round when you had Jamal Murray acting like a baby and he was frustrated where he was throwing a heating pad, throwing a towel onto the court. It looked like, we did that show the next day. And when it was 2-0, I was listening back to the segment today. And I said, the series isn't over, but it feels over after last night. And it feels like Minnesota's going to find a way to win and split on their home court. And, you now look back at this series, it goes from 2-0 to then it being 3-2. And Denver goes from being down 0-2 to now up 3-2 with them winning 3 straight. And last night, it felt like Denver was going to win going into the game. But you don't usually see a lot of personality from Nikola Jokic. When you're watching the game, you heard the announcer say it last night. He showed his killer instinct and his killer mentality on the court last night where, Rudy Gobert won another Defensive Player of the Year award. So what? Nikola Jokic, where, hey, Jamal Murray was not their second best player last night. Aaron Gordon was the second best player last night for the Denver Nuggets. And Nikola Jokic just said, you ain't stopping me. Going into the fourth, I think he had 12 assists. He finishes the game with 40 points. That's what this guy does. And this is what makes him the most unstoppable player and the preeminent player in the sport right now. You want to just let him have his, he'll go and drop 40 points in your face. You want to then try to stop his passing or stop his passing, he'll kill you. There's just no way to defend Nikola Jokic. And it's wild. In game 2, without Rudy Gobert, was the most lost that he's looked. It's really bonkers. And there's that debate. Do you just let him have his and then limit his teammates? Or do you just find a way to take away the passing? And there's no good answer for it. You try to take away his passing, he drops 40 on you. There's no way to win. You then let him have 40, he'll still find a way to give you 12, 13 assists. He's the biggest nightmare matchup in the NBA. You can't take away his passing even if you try, and you can't take away his scoring even if you try. But we all, right, wasn't that all last year, Stu? That was the conversation with Nikola Jokic. Do you want him to have 40 and maybe only 8 assists or 7 assists? Or do you want him to have 28 and then go pummel you for 15 assists? It doesn't matter what you try to do. No one has had sustained success in trying to slow him down. And night in and night out, even when he doesn't play his best, and last night he was at his best, but even when he doesn't play his best, he still finds a way to just fill that stat sheet and be the most impossible thing to stop in the NBA.
He really is, and he reminds me of a modern-day Shaq. And even Shaq was stoppable times because, you'd put him at the free throw line. He's a better shooter than Shaq. He's a better shooter than Shaq. He doesn't have the flaw of not being able to make free throws like Shaq did. So he really is unstoppable, and he's just a total playmaker and dominant scorer inside and shooter all in one, which is honestly unbelievable. We're at a point where when you went from Jordan to Shaq, Kobe, Duncan, LeBron, and you kind of wonder, when is it, are we going to keep getting
When does it slow down the all-time greats, you're saying?
Yeah, and look, Jokic is right there, and Steph, I think, is in that discussion as well. But, Jokic is probably going to end up as one of the greatest players to ever play the game.
He already has 3 MVPs. I don't know how long he's going to play, but you got to think he's going to win bare minimum 1 more MVP. Probably right now, you tell me right now, 1.5 MVP awards for Nikola. You'd be a fool not to bet the over. So, I'm trying to just be, I don't want to be too benevolent here. I just want to take it at the bare. Let's just say he wins 1 more MVP. He's going to win another championship or 2. So if this guy just wins, let's say he has 4 MVPs and just say 2 championships, he's going to be a top 10 player of all time. And that's just being as cautious as possible. There's a chance this guy wins 2 to 3 more MVP. He could win 5 or 6 MVPs. And you're talking about maybe 3 championships. Could you get 4? I don't know. But right now, no one has an answer for him. And he's 29. He's been healthy. He's one of the great developmental stories that this league has ever seen. But that's why I said it's too determining. Because, I think it's an obvious statement now. But just for people to understand that are kind of like, they haven't either seen Nikola Jokic or not, or they say, they say he's boring, which is all just a bunch of jackassery. He's going to go down easily better than Kevin Durant. And Kevin Durant's like not a career that you just blink at and you brush over. But you look at Kevin Durant, I get it. Durant's won 2 NBA championships and 2 finals MVPs, but Nikola Jokic's NBA MVP is already, finals MVP and his championship are more valuable than the 2 that Kevin Durant won. And Durant only has 1 MVP award. We're talking about Durant's a 14-time All-Star, 2-time champion, a 2-time finals MVP, and has won a league MVP. Nikola Jokic has already moved past him. And he's only 29. Kevin Durant is 35. He turns 36 in September. And that's where I just start the illustration. But you are watching right now, assuming that this continues and there's no catastrophic injury, right, that derails his career. When it's all said and done, I don't know how this guy's not going to be in the top 10. And I know those are tricky because, you got Jordan, you got LeBron, you got Magic, you got Larry Bird, Kareem, Wilt, Bill Russell, Shaq, Kobe, Timmy Duncan. Right there's already 10. And there's others, obviously, too. I'm just naming off the top of my head. You don't want to miss anybody. But that's how confident I am with this guy. Because you look at a do-it-all type of player, you want to take away his scoring, I'll hit you with 15 assists. You want to just say, go get yours, and we'll try to limit yourselves. We'll go get you 8 assists, and then he'll just drop 40 points. He had 40 points last night and 13 assists. Heck, the passes that he made last night were better passes than any Denver Broncos quarterback that I've seen since Peyton Manning has walked. That full court pass to Murray was sick. Yeah, you just search in GIFs. Nikola Jokic pass. It's like a behind the back toss over your head pass. He's wild. I actually think the Broncos made a mistake taking Bo Nix at 12. They should have just signed Nikola. They should have just drafted Nikola Jokic. Hey, screw the NBA. Come play quarterback for us. Imagine him at the goal line. It'd be crazy. But this dude's just awesome. He's great. And he's on that trajectory of being a top 10 player of all time. He's already in the top 20. And he's only go up and up and up. And here, he's a 3-time MVP. And if he wins a second championship this year and a second finals MVP, what are the haters going to say? But you were running out of things. It's stupid, minuscule things to say right now, but you were running out of things, and deservedly so. Stephon Marbury joins us next on the Zach Gelb Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Alrighty, welcome back in. Hour number 2 of our radio program. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. I see this guy at Madison Square Garden a ton these days. He's hanging out with John Starks, and he's enjoying a lot of New York Knicks victories as the Knickerbockers are up 3-2 in the NBA series, second round up against the Indiana Pacers. Always rocking those fresh shades as well. We'll talk about them in just a bit. And that is a man whose shoes I actually once wore as a kid, growing up on Long Island, going to Stephen Barry's with the Starburys. And that, of course, is Stephon Marbury joining us right now. Steph, appreciate it. How you been, my man?
I'm blessed, man. I can't complain. Enjoying the playoffs here in New York, hometown, homegrown. Beautiful time for basketball, being here to see the Knicks doing what they're doing, playing in the playoff, fighting to try to go into the Eastern Conference final to try to get back into the championship after so long. So it's a beautiful thing, and it's a beautiful time. The Rangers, like, wow, I went to the Ranger game. That was the best. Like, that was hockey is like, that's a whole nother story, but hockey is definitely by far the hardest sport ever to play. It's not even close.
What would Stephon Marbury look like if we ever got you on the ice?
Oh my God. I don't know. I just wanna be able to like be on the side and then slide in through the middle and then like, man, it's amazing. It's like watching soccer. It's like watching soccer on ice and basketball at the same time. And then the level of focus and commitment, like somebody hits you not to hit somebody with a stick. Like, and then I learned don't hit the goalie. You hit the goalie, it's over with. Like all of the different things. I'm like, yo, I love these rules. It's like gladiator style on ice with a puck. Like this, can you imagine swinging that thing? And like that, it's crazy.
I would fall flat on my face. I'm a huge hockey fan, and in the NBA,
man, I'm loving it.
We don't see any fights in the NBA anymore. In hockey, you touch the goalie, all hell breaks loose. You're right.
It's over with. It's over. My friend, I brought him, Jacob.
Truba.
Look, let me tell you, I brought this kid I brought them. He never been to a Ranger game, and he loved the Rangers, and I didn't know that he loved hockey. And he was explaining the game to me. I was like, oh my God, I wanted somebody to teach me about the game. Because you watching the game and you don't really know what's going on. It's boring. But when you know what's going on and you into it and you learn it was easy to learn the rules. He was like, it's like basketball. Once he said that, it automatically clicked. And then I started watching. And everybody jumped up at the same time. The congressman the Governor Christie, he was there, Dolan. It was incredible. It was great.
Well, let me get back to the hardwood as Stephon Marbury is here with us. You got to describe your emotions. Like we saw them last night, but when you see Jalen Brunson pop off for 44 points and win game 5, take me through how you kind of process what you're seeing.
We're seeing magic. We're seeing positive energy in New York being manifested. Rick Brunson, he played for the Knicks. His son, he brought him here. He brought him and allowed him to go on the court, running on the court, shooting. He's heard those loud noises, those cheers when those big shots was made at the end of games. So he's familiar with that feeling. He understands it. He was built for it. And for him to be this positive and this so, so deeply humble, you can tell that it comes from his parents, from being guided in a proper way and, speaking and thinking and never making excuses or mistakes. I'm never making excuses about the mistakes that he's made, owning up to it in New York, knowing that's fortune, and being able to see him do what he did in a pivotal game. It only shows that, him being recognized as a superstar in this league, he earned it. He earned the stripes doing it in a Mecca in Madison Square Garden. Game 5, a pivotal game. This is to have 2 more shots. They only got 1 shot. We would have been the ones going into their home court if we would lose this game last night and going into Indy. We already know it's gonna be hard to do that. As Pacers know, it's going to be hard to beat us in the Pacers and then come into the Garden and beat us. Come on, stop it. Whatever's going on, everything got to freeze. If that happens, it's a game 7 Indy. Everything got to freeze and everybody got to pay focus to that. Wherever I'm at, I got to tell them, like, look, I got to stop. This is important. This is for the city. I got to go.
And my favorite part about this team is just the toughness. Like, I could watch this team play any day just because of how tough of a group they are with all these injuries too.
Grit, grind, like Bird. I can't even say enough about him. That just shows the preparation that Tibbs, when you trust him, trust your coach. That's our leader. We got to trust his decisions, right? Like for so many years, they trusted Bill Belichick, right? There's a reason why they trust him. They trust him because he was the leader, and then he showed why consistently over and over, why This is what we're building. We're trying to get towards that. Tibbs is the guy, right? Tibbs has everyone prepped and prepared, focused with understanding. A guy, Burke, he sits on the bench. You think he don't want to play? It's the playoffs. Everybody want to play. This is the time to shine. This is when you get paid at. Finally, Burke, his number gets called. Like, that's him being prepped and ready, prepared. That's making sure that he's doing what he's supposed to do inside the weight room, inside the conditioning, to come out doing shooting drills, game speed. Like that, I know that's happening because I know that's Tibbs. I was under his tutelage at one time when I was in Boston, so I got a chance to see how he operated. So being able to see this guy get on the basketball court and play the way how he played, with confidence, shooting the three-point shot from the corner, knocking it down, ball faking, shooting pull-ups. Like, that's like you've been already on the court hooping. And people say, oh, why wasn't he playing? You can't question that. This is the moment we needed him. We needed him for that moment, game 5, when everybody's hurt and people looking around. And here comes Burke. He says, I have a cake too.
And it drives me bonkers, Stephon Marbury. And I'm glad what you said about Tom Thibodeau, because after game 4, you have so many people, oh, his demanding coaching style has ruined this team and has forced all these injuries. And I'm watching it saying, he's exceeded all expectations. This guy has been so successful in New York, and it's wild to me how he doesn't get more national praise.
I mean, he's not going to get national praise until he wins. And that's why it's so much push down. That's why we got to keep pushing up. And we keep pushing up, but now more and more of New York is starting to come together. See, it's easy to divide us, but now, because the coach is changing, he's bringing in that college feel, that Villa, that Nova Knicks. You know what I'm saying? You start doing the Nova Knicks now you have a college feel. You have the chemistry with Dante, with Hart, and Jalen. Those guys have a chemistry that you just can't disconnect. There's no breaking that. Like, that formula is magical because they won at a level where you and I know college basketball is huge in America. That's a plateau, right? That's a plateau for some, and some become famous and live on from being college players, let alone extending towards being in greatness in the NBA, right? So that's a part that those guys are well familiar with. And by them winning at that level, they already understand that they understand the fanfare that comes with that, the fanatics that come with that. You know, they felt that. And at college, it's even with more enthusiasm because it's of their peers. You got what I'm saying? Opposed to
Sure.
NBA, it's older people, it's different generations. But in college, it's just that. It's the seniors and the freshmen. And that's impactful. You got to go to college to feel that and understand that. And a lot of guys, some guys that went to the NBA, they got to just understand adult life. You got what I'm saying? They didn't get a chance to grow. And some people need that. But these guys, they have that. And now with Leon and Wes, what they're putting together, they're putting together a nice nucleus. And you can see it inside of the garden. It has beautiful light watching this. I will follow this. I will pay money to be a season ticket holder to watch that type of basketball along with a mixture. Yes, Jalen will grow. He will learn more about getting up off the ball at certain situations. He's still young in his career, right? He's growing into his superstardom. Yes, Dante will play with more toughness. Last night, I feel like he played a better game last night than the game that he played where he had 35-something points. I feel like his energy was through the roof.
Stephon Marbury here with us. Let me ask you about Dante DiVincenzo, because I loved what he said after the game, and he was getting into it with the Pacers, and he said, hey, that team, they're trying to be tough guys. Do you kind of see that when you watch Indiana? They're trying to be someone they're not?
It doesn't matter. They were on the road. They were losing. They beat us bad one night, and then we beat them in the daytime, and then we beat them bad at nighttime. And now they're frustrated. They're mad, and they feel what they feel. It's okay. It's chatter. It's basketball. Neither one of those guys want to get fined big money for fighting, and they don't want to get kicked out for no game. So it's just like barking. Like, then you put the dog right next to the other dog, and then you don't hear nothing, and then you put it back, and then they start barking. That's basically what that is. It's cool. Let's talk basketball.
well, how about how it's been with watching those games with John Starks? Because I love it. You guys have emotion just like your fans. You can't even get a handshake down correctly last night. You're bumping into each other, just going nuts how excited you guys are.
Okay, so for me, I'm laser sharp. I'm laser focused into the game. Every single play I'm watching. Me as a Knicks fan growing up here, before this court was, like I said, I got to keep saying it. This court is where I dreamed about playing, like along with every other kid who learns about Madison Square Garden. Once you learn about Madison Square Garden, you understand the beauty of it, the fortune in it, the positive energy that's in it, because everybody that goes inside of Madison Square Garden, they want to put on their absolute best. They don't want nothing else. They want to destroy Madison Square Garden. So you're getting that energy from all of the people that go to perform. So for me, seeing this, right, playing there, like I played high school. I lost 2 years in high school, then finally won my senior year, then played college against Iverson, a classic, then play there with the Knicks. I know the noise. I understand it. Like I watched it. Bernard King, Rory Sparrow, like all of the players, not just Pat, like Tucker, everybody. Like I was one of those kids watching Bernard King get busy, right? Black and white TVs. I was that kid. So being there watching it and watching a guard do what it is that they're doing up close person. And then I coached for 4 years. So, my coaching experience gave me more insight and understanding about the game. So when I see that, I'm like, wow, he's doing this with no athleticism. Like this is all skill based. You know what I'm saying? This is all work, like on the ground work. If he added jumping and dunking and all of that to his game, it would be different. But God is fair, right? LeBron can't shoot free throws sometimes. He shoot air balls, but Brunson is doing the same things that LeBron did, and he's only 6 foot. He's 6'8", 280. It's you see the difference. Like it's just different type of willpower.
Well,
as a guard.
Last thing I want to ask you before we talk about the shades, obviously, with Camelo, make sure you check it out, CHAMELO.com. Do you think this is it for Minnesota? They were up 2-0. Now they're down 3-2 in the series. They're going up against Joker and Murray. How do you kind of think this series will play on out with Denver being up 3-2?
Well, I'll tell you like this. You're playing against the champs. And when you're playing against the champs, you can't play good games. You have to play great games, right? You winning by 25, 30 points against the champs, that doesn't faze them. They know what they did wrong, right? If they lose by that much, they know what they did wrong, right? When they win, they know what you did wrong. And now, right now, you got to basically knock them out. So when you play against the Joker, a guy who's won MVP 3 years in a row, the most skilled big man to ever touch a basketball, the Joker, I said it. Whenever you play against a player like that, and then you have the supporting cast, you have to make sure when you play against them, you make no mistakes. And a mistake can be getting too high, right? And now, when you lose on your court and then you got to go back to their court when you beat them on their court, you got to try to reduplicate that. But the thing is, they made the adjustment on your court. So it's going to be a different series. It's going to be different. So we got to wait and see.
All righty, Stephon Marbury, before we let you run, I love the shades. You've been rocking them all throughout the postseason. I've been seeing you courtside celebrating the Knicks. The floor is yours. Tell me about them.
Well, Camelo is a new state-of-the-art glasses. It's the next wave of the future. These glasses, when you turn them on and off, they could go from light to dark. You can see my eyes.
Yeah.
Right? And then now you can't. And then you can have audio. You can have Bluetooth. You can have, the music playing from your phone. So you don't have to use AirPods anymore. Right? If you got to talk on the phone, you can talk right on the phone with your sunglasses. So if you're at the beach chilling out, you don't got to go pick your phone up and put it on your phone. You can keep your phone in your bag. It don't get hot anymore and then burn. And then, you got to put your phone down. Your phone is getting hot. That's done. That's over with. Them days is over with. All you're doing is talking to Siri. And then eventually the advanced would have the technology with the inside of the glasses. But this is the first part of doing something that is revolutionary, is different. And it's something that would, people would gravitate towards. We have all different kinds. We have some kinds where, you can touch the glasses and they have different colors. It's for girls. It's not just for men. So you can touch you can touch and tap, and it'll go from pink to orange to blue. Yeah. So, people can go and check it out on Camelo.com, CHAMELO, Camelo.com.
Once again, that's www.chamelo.com. He's Stephon Marbury. Stephon, this is great. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, thanks for having me.
There he is. What an excellent conversation with Stephon Marbury. Really did enjoy that. That was a whole lot of fun to hear his excitement about the New York Knicks. Okay, we'll take a time out. When we come on back, we go from the hardwood to the ice. A lot of craziness in hockey last night. We got to dissect that when we return.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Listening to the Infinity Sports Network.
We'll spend a minute or two talking some playoff pucks right now. You had two great games last night. So the Florida Panthers are on their home ice, and this is for a Game 5. They're up 3-1, trying to eliminate the Boston Bruins. And you take a look at the ending of that game in the third period. It was just wild. You know, Pasternak, I thought, definitely put the puck in the net. I've watched it 1,000 times. It would have put him up 3-1. I don't know how he didn't put that puck in. And then at the end, when the Cats are trying to get a late goal in the final seconds to extend this game and get it into overtime and just rip the hearts out of the Boston Bruins, Swayman made a great save. I don't know, Reinhardt didn't put that puck in the net either. It was absolutely chaos. But let me take you back, because I'm just a sucker for hearing the local radio calls during the playoffs. Let's go to the second period. This is 10:25 into the period. It's 1-1 game. This is the Charlie McAvoy goal, which ended up somehow, some way, being the game winner with how many chances there were in the third period for the Bruins to extend their lead or the Panthers to tie it up. But there was no luck either way, and the Bruins ended up holding on off this goal to win the game 2-1.
Coyle sidesteps the check to Frederick in flight over the line right side. Right circle, drops Coyle. Back into the slot, McAvoy shoots, he scores! Charlie McAvoy sizzles it home! His first in the playoffs! Bruins 2, Panthers 1!
And that's the Bruins radio network. So you watch that game, and it was breathtaking. It really was. And to me, there is nothing like playoff hockey. With the atmosphere in those buildings, how close those games are, the comebacks that we have seen, you know, no series in hockey is truly over until it's over. And you saw how many chances the Panthers had last night to maybe tie it up and to end this series. And the fact that none of them went in was absolutely bonkers, and it speaks to how good Swayman was in net. But now that series is 3-2 going back to Boston, and you've seen it now in both Eastern Conference series that are remaining, where the Rangers were up 3-1 at home, right? They get that goal from Jacob Trouba. I'm going nuts with all the whiskey gingers that I had at Madison Square Garden that night in the box I was in. And I'm thinking, okay, up 1-0. As you go into the third period, the game's not over, obviously. Carolina has a great team. But I'm thinking to myself, you got a shorthanded goal by your captain, Jacob Trouba, who has really done nothing in this postseason. And they're in a good spot. But then Carolina had a great effort in the third period, and the Rangers were just lifeless, really lifeless in that third. So you've now seen in both Eastern Conference series where it feels like momentum is starting to shift. But just because momentum is starting to shift doesn't mean that the Rangers and Panthers aren't going to win these series. But now you go from both these teams, the Panthers and the Rangers, being up 3-1 on their home ice, losing Game 5, and now you have to go into a road building. Right? Boston now going back home. Panthers trying to close them out. And wouldn't it be, because you got to remember, last year, the Bruins were up 3-1. That started the Panthers' great run to the Stanley Cup final. Can you imagine if the Bruins get their payback this year after being down 3? Oh, Sully would be insufferable. I was texting with Sully last night during the game. I love Sully because he's so emotional this time of the year. And whenever you mention a player on the other team, he just says, bleep that guy. You know, in Sully's thick Bostonian masshole type of accent. And last night I texted Sully, like, I can't believe the Reinhart goal didn't go in. And he's like, bleep Reinhart. Bleep him. How about the Swayman? How about Swayman? Sully was going bonkers last night. But in both those series, it's going to be fascinating to see what's going to happen now in Game 6. Because you go, not that you can't win a Game 7 in your own building for both those teams, but you blow a 3-1 lead. That's tough to do. That is tough to do to then win that Game 7. I think the Panthers will find the way to close out this series in Boston. I actually like both road teams in Game 6, which, not to sound like McLovin and go against the grain like Andrew Perloff does, but the Panthers, man, they're, to me, the best team remaining in the Stanley Cup playoffs. I think they're the best team, and no one thinks the Rangers are going to win Game 6. No one does. No one thinks the Rangers are going into Carolina and they're going to find a way to take the Hurricanes. Just listening by all the analysis, how the Rangers went up 3-0 in this series, right? They're up 3-0 in this series, and a lot of people thought that the Rangers, because in Game 2 and Game 3, they didn't play great. They were outshot in both of them, and they found a way to get the overtime winners. And a lot of people think that, and even Vegas, they think Carolina's the best. Rangers have been underdog the whole series. So I think the Rangers win Game 6. Get either Panarin or Zibanejad have to step up. And then when you get into the Bruins and the end of the Panthers series, I just think the Panthers are a better team. But that becomes a fascinating spot where you had chances to eliminate those teams on your home ice, and now you got to go into their building as the Panthers go to Boston and the Rangers go to Carolina, both teams up 3-2. And then you thought the Bruins and the Panthers game was nuts. The Oilers-Canucks game was bonkers last night. So Edmonton down 2-1 in the series. Give a lot of credit to Tocchet, the coach of Vancouver, coming off the TNT set. He's done a sensational job with the Canucks. And you see Leon Draisaitl and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins put the Oilers up 2-0 early in their own building, trying to tie up this series 2-2. The Canucks get 2 third-period goals. The second one came with 18-19 into the period. So you're less than 2 minutes remaining at this point. Pull the goalie, you tie it up at 2-2. So what does everyone think? Oh, that game's going to go to overtime. And you have a team that gets the goal late in the third. They carry over the momentum into overtime, and then they steal one on the Oilers' home ice, and they take a commanding 3-1 series lead. Well, 61 seconds later, with under a minute to go in the game, Evan Bouchard hits this goal, and Edmonton at home, you want to talk about theatrics and a building just going crazy. On this goal, it did that. Let's listen up to Oilers Radio.
We're tied at 2. Draisaitl behind the Vancouver net. Send it out in front. Bouchard, a shot. Score! 3-2 Edmonton! 38 seconds to play!
I couldn't believe that. I thought that'd be a little bit more of a better call. That was the Oilers radio network? Man, play me that one more time. Let me hear that one more time.
We're tied at 2. Draisaitl behind the Vancouver net. Send it out in front. Bouchard, a shot. Score!
If that was Dave Mishkin who does the Lightning games, Botcher would have to put his level on the board at the lowest rate possible, because he would have blown all of our eardrums out. That, I don't know if that's, well, no, it can't be local TV at this point, because you're in the second round. That's Oilers radio. That's not something streaming or something where you can see it. That sounded more like a TV type of call. That's crazy. And that game I was up late watching that. Obviously stuck around for the Nuggets and the Timberwolves game. So I knew last night was going to be a late night. But that call did not do that moment justice. Where Vancouver looks like they're going to stun you in their own building, get the game to overtime, where they get the goal with under 2 minutes to go. And then 61 seconds later, with under a minute left in the game, you put that puck in the net to win the game, 3-2, and tie the series at 2-2. Man, I thought you'd hear a little bit more electricity from the announcer, a little more exuberance, if I may say so myself. All righty. It is a Winkler Wednesday. We'll do so on the other side. We'll connect with Bart Winkler. Let's get the latest update in, though. First, here's the Act Man, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Well, for some, tonight's a holiday. The NFL schedule will be announced, and the 2 Christmas Day games will be good ones, with the Chiefs meeting the Steelers, and the Ravens will take on the Texans as Netflix gets a 3-year streaming deal with the NFL to stream 2 games on the holiday. The Celtics are 1 win away from returning to the conference finals, as they will host the Cavaliers, up 3-1, and Donovan Mitchell uncertain again due to a calf injury that caused him to miss Game 4. The Mavericks and Thunder meet tonight in Oklahoma City, with that series even at 2. Baseball today, the Orioles get a game-winning home run from Adley Rutschman in the 9th to top the Blue Jays 3-2 and avoid being swept. The Marlins blanked the Tigers 2-0, getting an early home run from Brian Delacruz, and that stood up. Also, the Brewers with 5 home runs of the day to beat the Pirates by a score of 10-2. Garrett Crochet, and the White Sox bullpen holds the Nationals to 3 hits as the White Sox blanked Washington 2-0. Right now, the Royals and Mariners scoreless bottom 2. Rockies in front of the Padres 3-0 top 2. And the Diamondbacks off to a 1-0 start against the Reds now in the 5th. I'm Rich Ackerman.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
It's an epic battle for the Infinity Sports Network. Sack.
Lethargic, putrid, pathetic quitters. They're quitters. What a joke.
Bart.
Something fun to talk about. That's what we do here. It's like, hey, guys, it's like we're just hanging out at a bar talking sports.
It's time for Winkler Wednesday. Only on the Zach Gelb Show.
So this year when we were at the Final Four in Phoenix, you know, they have a bunch of radio stations out there, and the national shows were yours truly, Doug Gottlieb's, and then also you had Sirius out there too, you know, their college channel. So I was talking to Doug Gottlieb when we were out there, and I guess Samter used to produce him, or it was like a board op for him back in the day, and he was talking about how much he wants to coach. And we've known this before with Doug, like he's been up for jobs in the past, or he's talked about how he wanted to coach in the past. And I saw that the other day that Doug Gottlieb has now been named the University of Wisconsin-Green Bay head coach. So, you know, sometimes in this radio business, like people won't say the names of other networks, and technically we're up against Doug, and, you know, it's viewed as competition. And I have no problem mentioning another host or mentioning another network. So congratulations to Doug Gottlieb. So now when we talk about him becoming the next basketball coach at the University of Wisconsin-Green Bay, and he'll still continue to do his radio show, I think of one man and one man only. And that's Bart Winkler. That is Mr. Wisconsin who joins us right now. Bart, how are you? You a big fan of the Gottlieb hire?
I don't. He's another station. Can we mention his name? I'll say this about the hire. Like for Doug, wow. For Doug, like you wanted to be a coach forever. Okay, you got a university to give you a job, Division I. You also got them to let you still do your radio show. For Doug and his career aspirations, nothing but kudos and congratulations.
Here comes a butt. I'm sensing a butt somewhere.
For the University of Green Bay, this is a meme hire and this makes you a meme university. Like this
Explain.
makes you look silly and desperate.
Why?
And stupid. If you're going to hire a head coach, and the Horizon League, like all of these one bid leagues, this is a one bid league for the tournament. This is a tough league. This is a bus league. This is not a extravagant league, and you're going to have to put in the grind. And the moment you get a guy that's relatively decent, like what happens? Oh, a bigger school comes and plucks them from that conference now with the transfer portal. I think that the college coaches, and especially the ones that I've talked to and the ones that I've seen in action, just not even the full picture, but I can't think of a job where there's not enough hours in the week. And I'm not talking like 40, 50, 60, however many you work.
Yeah.
168. They're on the clock all the time.
But also, to be fair, he has a Bill Ryder type of shift. He does 2 hours.
2 hours. Zach, you do 3. So what if
I've done 4 before? I've done 5. I've done 6. I've done 7. I've done 8. But 2 hours?
On the weekends you do 8. What if Doug Gottlieb all of a sudden is 30-5 every year and goes to the conference tournament, wins it, goes to March Madness? Then it just shows everybody, it reveals the secret, how little work we have to put in to our profession. We don't want that. So all radio hosts, even though he's one of us,
we want him to fail.
To be rooting against Doug, so the secret's not out.
So here's my take on it, and I know that Bart is marinated in sarcasm today as he joins us as always. Bart Winkler.
I meant every word of that.
So I actually am more surprised that Fox is letting him continue to do his radio show rather than the university is. Like, no offense. And you know me, I never look down on the little fella. But how often are people ever talking about the University of Wisconsin-Green Bay when it comes to basketball? This will at least get people talking about them at the hire. And also, it provides a major platform with a major network for those students that go there, because you don't think Doug's not going to put in a kid or two on his show, or like Colin Cowherd isn't going to talk about Gottlieb, who's been a colleague of his forever. So I'm actually surprised that Fox is allowing him to do both. I think it's more of a gain for the university than it is for Fox, because it takes away from the preparation of doing the show and all that stuff.
I suppose so. I mean, it's going to take away preparation of doing the game. I think I saw Gottlieb talk about this, and he says it's going to be a two-way street. People can, sponsors that can bring in money. We can, just the fact that I'm there, helps both.
I think from an NIL perspective and sponsors, that's going to help the university.
But I don't think if there's a recruit that's 17 years old, honestly.
Yeah, is he going to get oohed and awed because he's, going on
Do they know who Doug Gottlieb is? Do they know who Doug Gottlieb is?
Maybe because he did some TV. Maybe because he did TV with, I think when he was here with us at the time, CBS, calling games.
I would think Infinity would let me coach somewhere just to get,
absolutely,
exposure on my show.
They can't wait to get you out of the building.
I can't even get a damn article written about me.
Yeah, well, why have you been you've been tweeting at all these sites to get articles written? You got press when you got hired. I remember a bunch of these outlets were reaching out to me.
I mean, come on, I'm like the first Midwest guy, first Wisconsin for sure on a national platform. Let's go. Give me some press. Not even my hometown paper called me up.
Well, maybe you call up like Shaka Smart and you ask if you could be like a ball boy on the Marquette staff, and then you could be a ball boy during the day, and then at night you could host the very successful Bart Winkler show.
I would do that, but now that I know that we can coach Division I with no prior experience, AAU, I've coached AAU. Oh, okay, all right.
Jeez.
Every AAU coach thinks they can coach.
I hate to remind you. Well, you probably don't care about him anymore because he's no longer on your show. You were the show that had your producer a week ago is now no longer your producer, saying because he coaches JV basketball, he could coach the Lakers. I just have to call a spade here.
Doesn't that suck that he left the show right before this happened?
Yeah.
It's like he knew and he ducked out.
What's the name of the school that Gottlieb's coaching again at? What is it? University of Green Bay, Wisconsin? Is that what it is?
It's the University of Wisconsin, Green Bay.
The University of Wisconsin, Green Bay. Shep can't even get that job, but he thinks he's going to get the Lakers job.
he can't even. He's the JV coach. He can't even get the
varsity.
Shep, hey buddy.
Yeah. See, you leave Bart, then Bart goes unleashed all against you. He'll stab you in the back over and over again.
It's just too good of a joke not to make.
Yeah, Bart Winkler here with us. So, NBA-wise, let's get into what has happened with the Nuggets. I know you were pulling for the Timberwolves. This series was 2-0 in favor of Minnesota. Now it's 3-2, and it feels like this is over, and Denver will win one more game in this series.
So I fancy myself as someone that knows a lot about the NBA playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like I'm superior at watching it. Citing when the Bucks were down 2-0 to the Suns, and I thought they'd still win the finals, and everyone thought it was over. And I was talking
Who was that host that ripped you for that take? I don't know what his name
Well, I was talking to one of my old co-hosts the other day. We were texting back and forth after the Timberwolves went up 2-0. And he says, Bart, I think you're right about the Timberwolves. And I go, I am right. I know playoff basketball better than anyone. I go, I don't get a lot right, but when I'm right, I'm right. I know I am superior. Well, they haven't won a game in that series since, so I'm maybe not as smart as I thought.
Yeah.
I think one big thing that happened in that series, and I don't know that Jamal Murray should have been suspended. I know, like, retroactively.
He should have been. I thought he should have been suspended, but the commissioner doesn't have a spine.
Well, he wasn't at that game either. He only suspends people if he's at the game. He's very reactional and very emotional. I think he's the worst commissioner we have.
Spineless Silver. I'm not a fan of his. Him and Rob Manfred, they could go away and never come back.
I think because that series started earlier. It started Saturday and then played Monday. And then remember the Knicks and Pacers played on Wednesday, and it was the only game that night. And you thought, well, it lines up with but they took a 3-week break. So it really gave the Nuggets time to just refocus. Jokic wins the MVP in that time, which he's told to his face from Shaq, I don't think you deserve this. So we can say all we want about how Jokic just loves his horses, but I mean, when you are going on to accept the MVP and Shaquille O'Neal tells you you didn't deserve it, I mean, you're not in this league if you don't have the competitive nature to be like, all right, I gotta step up. My team's got to step up.
And he embarrassed Gobert last night. Because the crazy part is, Gobert in Game 2 did not play because, him and his wife or girlfriend, I don't know the relationship, they had a child. And he missed the game. And Jokic, the first time in ever, got shut down. And then what we've seen since then, Superman put back on his cape. And last night, that's one of the great performances you'll ever see. It really is. And he embarrassed the Defensive Player of the Year in Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, and it looks like of all the series, well, I mean, the Celtics, if there's no Donovan Mitchell tonight, that'll probably wrap up. And then that Denver series looks like it's on its way. Knicks and Pacers, we're probably going to see the Pacers win at home and then the Knicks win at home. I would agree. The way it's been going. Thunder and Mavs, I don't know, but
pendulum to me has swung in favor of OKC because it looked like the Mavs were going to go up 3-1, and then SGA just was brilliant, and Luka Doncic couldn't hit a free throw.
Well, the problem with that is that Luka's hurt playing through it.
Yeah, so but you can't miss. You know what? I know he's hurt, but I said this the other day. I'll say it again. It kind of reminded me of like Urban Meyer, where anytime something wouldn't go Urban Meyer's way, he'd fall down on the sideline, and it would look like he was having a heart attack. Anytime Luka did something in a negative way the other night, he's grabbing the knee. I get it. It's a legitimate knee sprain. You miss a free throw, you got to make both those free throws at the end of the game. That's the bottom line.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you're going to play, you got to – because, like, Brunson's been hurt, but he was amazing last night. Yeah. I do think maybe this is just because we're in the actual moment right now. Maybe it's anecdotal. I do feel like there's more injuries this playoffs, or that injuries are – affecting it more. Like if you're the Magic, if you're the Orlando Magic, you're like, couldn't you have at least just let us beat you then if you're going to go to the next round and not play with Jared Allen or Donovan Mitchell? Like, what's the point? The Celtics are going to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, still losing games they shouldn't have because they have no mental toughness.
Yeah, the 2-game twos.
And I don't know if they're going for that Game 5 money or what the deal is. But we're doing all this. And we're going to end up with Denver and Boston just like we all thought? That's no fun. That sucks.
In all likelihood, probably. I think that'd be a very fun NBA Finals. But the greatness of Nikola Jokic, that to me is like in the East, it feels like the story has been Jalen Brunson. For a while in the West, it was Anthony Edwards. But now, since it looks like the Nuggets are going to win that series, I also think there's been more national respect now on the Thunder, especially after the other night. But to see what Jokic has done, we're getting into an all-time great. Like I would rarely say that someone's a top 10 player of all time after like 8 or 9 seasons. But to see where this guy was at and now what he is, and still with how young he is, only being 29, you're going into a top 10 conference. Like, he's better than Durant. His career right now is better than Durant's career. He's got 3 MVPs, a championship, and a finals MVP. You know, and his championship means more than Durant's 2 championships.
I'm having a hard time with this because, like, if you look at the NBA the last few years and say he's the MVP 3 of the last 4 years, I go, sure, fine. Mm-hmm. But now when you stack him against the guys that have won 3 and he is an elite company, I'm like, are we ready? Is this guy's a top 10 NBA player all time?
Close it in.
I know. I'm having a hard time. I'm having a hard time accepting that, but there's nothing I can do to stop it. The results are the results.
And just as long as this continues, like, let's say, I think he'll play more than 5 years, but you never know. But, like, right now, the guy already has 3 MVPs, so you probably think bare minimum he wins 2 more. And if he wins another championship this year, probably 2 more.
His shtick that he doesn't care, I think that helps him. I think the media, I think we fall into it. Like, one of these MVPs he does not have if he's not a horse-loving guy who hates basketball.
Well, I think
we're all falling for this trap.
I think what some people say, how they call him boring, is just ridiculous. Like, yeah, he may have a boring personality, but last night was really the first time you saw him take on a personality because he wanted to stick it to Gobert last night. There was no doubt about that.
The game's not boring.
Mm-hmm. But some people say that because they don't watch it.
Yeah, he passes as well as anybody in the league, and shots unconventional. But he does anybody have a conventional shot anymore? I mean, Tyrese is bounce passing shots into the backboard, and Jokic is just overhand weaving them. What the hell are we doing here?
He's Bart Winkler. You can listen to him tonight and every weeknight on the Infinity Sports Network from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern Time. That was good form, as you can watch Bart on YouTube when he joins us, as he was just showing us his shooting.
I can't physically shoot a 3. I don't have enough strength to get it there.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll teach you one day. We'll get Shep to teach you. Shep and Gottlieb will teach you and coach you up, and you'll be an all-star. Coming on back, it is the Zach Gelb Show. News Brief next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Yo, it is the Zach Gelb Show right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Fun show so far. Appreciate Bart Winkler joining us as he does each and every Wednesday for some Winkler Wednesdays. In the last segment, we heard from Stephon Marbury an hour ago. I thought his analogy was very interesting, how the Patriots players trusted Bill Belichick for all those years. He thinks it's very similar to how the Knicks players are trusting Tom Thibodeau, and obviously it is paying off as the Knicks have taken a 3-2 series lead up against the Pacers. And Justin Termini, he joined us from SiriusXM NBA Radio in the first hour, and he said that in his lifetime, he's never seen a better offensive player in the NBA than Nikola Jokic, who was just ridiculous last night. And that series did go from 0-2 in favor of Minnesota to now 3-2 in favor of Denver is just absolutely bonkers. By the way, you want to know something that's crazy, Stu? So I always, when I'm on the air, right, to pull up stats and stuff, I have up ESPN. So on the top part of the ESPN page, the sports that they have right now, NFL, NHL, tennis, men's basketball, women's tennis, and MLB. I have to go to the more category to get the NBA. When you log on to ESPN, is that the same for you?
You're talking about like the black bar?
Yes.
So I have NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, soccer, golf.
I wonder why.
That's weird.
I have to go into the more category for NBA. Let me see. Oh, I know why. Let's just say I have a friend that works for Disney, and I have his account logged into my computer because that means I get all the hockey games throughout the year, and I get anything that's on. Like, he has an unrestricted account, so no blackouts. And I probably shouldn't be saying this on the radio. And also, I get all the UFC fights too. And let's just say my friend is not an NBA fan. So maybe, he's not an NBA fan. So maybe because
he deleted it out of his.
No, you could eventually get it, but maybe because he's not a big NBA fan, his preferences, that kind of like throws an algorithm. But this is on my computer, but it's through his account. But this person doesn't like tennis. And this person's barely a baseball fan. So maybe that's it. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just the algorithm from this person's account. But anyway, I don't want to lose access to my account, so I'm going to just shut up right now. And we're going to get to some of the biggest stories in the world of sports with some audio. Let's get to a news brief.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
Nuggets take a 3-2 series lead last night up against the Timberwolves. They have won 3 straight. We know Nikola Jokic, a 3-time MVP, had 40 points, 13 assists, and 7 rebounds. Let's hear from Anthony Edwards of the Timberwolves. He was amazed by how good Nikola Jokic was.
I just laughed. That's all I can do. I mean, I can't be mad because he good, man. I think I said that after game 1 when we won, and in game 2, like, he the MVP, he's the best player in the NBA. And he showed it the last 3 games. So, yeah, tonight he was special tonight. I got to give him his flowers. It was. I mean, I don't know what we were supposed to do. Yeah, he was that guy tonight.
Yeah, I kind of respect it. I know some Timberwolves fans, maybe you want to hear like a better answer, but if you watch that game, like, what else can you say? That's the ultimate sign of respect, especially in the NBA when there's like a lot of excuses and people don't like to give other players flowers. And this is why Anthony Edwards is so likable. All you could do is basically just laugh and throw your hands up in the air and just say, okay, this is an all-time great player. There was nothing we could do tonight. The stunning part was just how bad Rudy Gobert was defensively in that game. And maybe it's not how bad Rudy Gobert was. It's just that's how great Nikola Jokic is, where you have the defensive player of the year up against Nikola Jokic. And Rudy Gobert actually had a good offensive game last night, but there was nothing he could do defensively to just contain or slow down for a few minutes Nikola Jokic. Let's go to Draymond Green. He was on Inside the NBA last night. So I guess you had Shaq and Charles Barkley. They were at some event in New York, I guess trying to save the NBA on TNT, because that deal looks like it's going to go to NBC, and then the NBA on TNT is going to be no more. So last night you had Ernie, Kenny the Jet Smith, Vince Carter, and then Draymond Green. Here is Draymond Green on Inside the NBA last night ripping Rudy Gobert.
I got 2 things of why this series ain't coming back to Minnesota. Number 1, the big Frenchman is sitting on that podium speaking his native language. We need to do this. You need to get a stop. It ain't we. Karl Anthony Towns is actually doing a pretty good job when he's on Joker. It's you, my man, that's getting cooked. So it's no we. Now, yes, you do need help from the other guys, but on some of those, help can't help you. Like, you just got to get a stop. So that's number 1. Number 2, when you're in these playoff series, for me, I'm always looking for the smallest ounce of weakness that I can find. And the way Karl Anthony Towns walked off that floor with the limp after he played the rest of that game totally fine, and then he could barely walk leaving the court, they don't believe anymore. And when you lose belief, this defending champions you're playing against, when you lose the belief, it's over. And they don't believe they can win anymore.
I hate to say Draymond is right. Also, he's not wrong in what he said about Rudy Gobert. But can we also acknowledge with a little bit of the past history that he's just dumping a little bit more salt in the wound of Rudy Gobert last night? But his analysis isn't wrong. I thought the back end, like the front end of that comment's what made headlines. I thought the back end stood out more to me because, Stu, we looked at that team up 2-0. What did we all rave about? It was the mentality of Anthony Edwards. It was the mentality of this team, even without Gobert, to go open up a can of whoop-ass against the Denver Nuggets. And now, you just heard from Anthony Edwards that we played for you earlier in this segment. They got no answers anymore. And they had their opportunity. They smelt blood. The body was basically in the casket, and you were ready to hammer that coffin shut. And not only has Denver found a way to get out of sports hospice, as I like to say, that heart is now beaten, lively, and it looks like their quest to go back-to-back and win championships in back-to-back years is right back on, and they are right back in the top dog spot. Let's go to Stan Van Gundy. You know, I thought Stan Van Gundy last night was so obnoxious. He kind of had a little Tony Romo syndrome, where I understand, trust me, I talk for a living. But when you're doing TV, you got to let the game breathe a little bit. Stan Van Gundy, I thought they were going to put an oxygen mask on him. He didn't let the game breathe at all last night. It was crazy, but then Stan Van Gundy basically had me liking him after I could not stand him because he was defending Tom Thibodeau last night. This was on the game NBA on TNT.
Everybody, every year, the best players play big minutes in the playoffs. For some reason, people want to jump on Tom Thibodeau. Look, the Dallas Mavericks are playing an injured Luka Doncic 41 minutes a night, Kyrie Irving 41 minutes a night, and they're at full health. The Knicks are missing 3 starters and another rotation player in Bogdanovich. This has been the most ridiculous talk of the playoffs. You saw the Knicks tonight. Does this look like a team that is worn out, that is finished, that has nothing else to give? Not even close.
He's 100% right, and it shows you how loud that building was last night as you start hearing those audible Knicks in 6 chants when the microphone is literally right in front of the fat mouth of one Stan Van Gundy. But, man, he's 1,000% spot on. You're like, it's crazy to me the narratives people come up with. I get it. There's a lot of NBA players that they want to rest, 20, 25 games. And you actually have a coach that's demanding and holds his players accountable. And you need to do that to get the most out of this team that doesn't have the most talent. And then after game 4 with all the injuries that they had and that this series was 2-2, people are like, oh, Tom Thibodeau isn't the right coach. Like, did you not watch this team this year? He absolutely is the right coach. He's the perfect coach for this team. And now they're up 3-2 and everyone's praising Tom Thibodeau today. So just remember that the next time you're ready to rip him, and I'm not saying you can't criticize him, right? Everyone's open to criticism. But this idea that his style and his coaching style has prevented this team from accomplishing, like, give me a break. Team's a 2 seed. Team's 1 win away from winning the Eastern Conference Finals. If I came down to you before the year started and said, hey, Jeannie Gelb here, on a carpet flying in, I'm going to tell you the future. And the Knicks are going to be in the second round of the playoffs. They're going to be the 2 seed and 1 win away from the conference finals. You sign for that in a second. Absolutely. Here's Dante DiVincenzo, the big ragu. He ripped the Pacers for trying to be tough guys last night.
They're trying to be tough guys. That's not their identity. And there was nothing more to that. I just don't, I don't agree with trying to walk up on somebody that nobody's going to fight in the NBA. So take the foul, keep it moving. You're not a tough guy, just keep it moving.
I love that confidence. Pacers, you guys think you're those dudes. You ain't those dudes. Good stuff from Dante DiVincenzo. Here is Brian Windhorst. Donovan Mitchell not expected to play tonight for the Cavs. This could be his last game in a Cavs uniform, and already 2 teams are ready to make an offer via a trade for Donovan Mitchell. This was on Get Up on ESPN.
I'm trying to walk the line because I don't want anybody to freak out in my hometown of Cleveland, but there are a number of teams that have their offers ready.
Are the Lakers one?
They're ready, of course.
The Lakers?
Absolutely.
The Knicks?
I don't think... The Knicks are trying to win this Eastern Conference
Understood.
Series, but certainly across the river there in Brooklyn.
I'd be surprised if it's the Knicks. At this point, I know they were in on him a few years ago, and he wants to go there. Brooklyn definitely seems right. And the Lakers, obviously, they would love to go get him. Talking about the Lakers, LeBron James' son, Bronny James, he was asked on the possibility of playing with his dad on the Lakers.
Brian, what would it mean if you did end up like on the Lakers or wherever your dad ends up playing? What would that mean to you if you two ended up being on the same team? Obviously, it's been talked about for a long time.
It's. I don't think I would just like when I get there. I don't think it would just be like me and my dad. Like I would be happy about getting to the league instead of me thinking about playing with my dad. But that's like not my mindset right now at all. I'm just trying to put in the work and see where it takes me from there.
So not his intent right now. I don't think that's his main focus. His main focus is just get it drafted. Then all that speculation, depending on what team he goes to, will come down to and happen on if LeBron's going to join that team or not. I think LeBron stays in L.A. Here is Sir Charles Barkley, who's on ESPN 1000 Chicago. If he's worried about the inside the NBA future with all these reports that the NBA is about to move off of TNT and go back to NBC for some of their packaging.
Am I concerned? 100%.
What can you tell us about the future of inside the NBA and what direction you think it's all headed?
We have zero idea what's going to happen. We might lose it. I feel so bad for the people I work with. I mean, it is brutal. I mean, it is flat out brutal. Everybody's scared to death. But this is the first time during the exclusive window we did not re-sign in advance. So I will tell you this, it's very stressful for the people I work with. And I wish I could give you an answer. We might lose it. I don't know. It's 50-50 that we lose our part to NBC. Am I concerned? 100%. Because as much as we have been partners with the NBA for, I think, 40 years, you would think if it was close in a bidding war, we would get the benefit of the doubt. But clearly that's not happening. So to answer your question, they're scared to death over here right now. I feel so bad for the people I work with.
Yeah, I haven't followed it, like the ins and outs that closely, but it seems like it's not 50-50. It seems like it's now unlikely that the NBA is going to be back on TNT for this next deal. That's just by the way that you hear Shaq and Charles talk about it, and then other speculation and Bill Simmons as well. All right, let me get two more in here quickly. Tom Brady has regrets about the roast. This was on the Pivot podcast.
I loved when the jokes were about me. I thought they were so fun. I didn't like the way that it affected my kids. So it's the hardest part about like the bittersweet aspect of when you do something that you think is one way and then all of a sudden you realize I wouldn't do that again because of the way that it affected actually the people that I care about the most in the world. So like it makes you in some ways a better parent going through it because again, sometimes you're naive, you don't know.
It's a roast. I love Brady. But you didn't think, like no one went after his kids in the roast. Right? Like, did I miss something, Botcher?
One of the ladies that was doing the roast, I remember her name, she had a joke cut out about making out with her sons.
But did that air on the broadcast?
No, I don't think it was.
Okay, so that gets reported. Someone reads that, fine. I think that's more so the kids were upset because their mom was upset, right, Giselle? But you knew those jokes about Giselle with whatever happened with that jiu-jitsu master was going to come out anyway. So, like, it's a roast. But, young kids, they're going to react that way, and then it probably created issues for Brady. It seems like Giselle hated it, so now it's becoming a big deal for TB12. Finally, here is Caitlin Clark. Last night made a regular season debut. She had 4 fouls, 10 turnovers, and 20 points. Her team did lose to Connecticut, 92-71. Here is Caitlin Clark on her first impressions of the WNBA pro game.
Thought it was physical. I don't know. Obviously, it wasn't like the best start in the first half for myself. Getting into foul trouble, and then you got to sit on the bench and try to come back into the game and get into a little bit of a flow. But obviously, too many turnovers. That's not going to get the job done. But I think just a lot of things to learn from. I didn't think we played well, and we had cut it to 6 in the third quarter. So I think that's a positive you look at. Like, we really did not play a good game, but we were right there at moments, and then it kind of got away from us at the end of the third and fourth quarter. Didn't have the greatest start, so I think just a lot to learn from. It's the first one. There's going to be good ones. There's going to be bad ones. And, like we said in the locker room, like we play on Thursday. You got to learn from it and move on and be ready to go.
There you go. All righty, that's Caitlin Clark. That's a news brief. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We preview the PGA Championship next with Alex Myers.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Network.
All right, it is the Infinity Sports Network. It is the Zach Gelb Show. You know, before each and every major, we have to talk to Alex Myers, senior writer for Golf Digest, who's kind enough to join us right now as we get set for the PGA Championship that gets underway tomorrow. Alex, thanks so much. Appreciate the time.
You got it. I'm riding high after that Knicks win, so I'm feeling pretty good today.
Yeah, that was a tough, gritty performance by Jalen Brunson. And time to put some respect on Tom Thibodeau's name, because it's just ridiculous after Game 4 where this team has overachieved all throughout the year, and this coach has got so much out of them. Now people are ready to say, oh, this is why the Knicks are hurt. It's because of Thibodeau's coaching side. They looked tired last night, Alex. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? I'd like to see any other team take out 4 of their top 8 rotational players and see how they do. I mean, This is absolutely amazing that they're even making this competitive. And yeah, I think the Thibodeau stuff is overblown, of course. I mean, some of these injuries were fluke plays. I mean, Randall got like pulled down on a fast break. I mean, OG, I guess you could say the hammy was tired out or something, but most of these injuries are very flukish. So I don't buy into all that. I love Tibbs.
By the way, I did not have on my bingo card today Alex Meyer started us off with basketball, and Stephon Marbury, when he joined us earlier, started us off with the Rangers and hockey. I would have never predicted those two things with the two great guests that we've had on and a bunch of others today. All right, let me start you off. Obviously, every golf conversation has to start with Tiger Woods. What's the feel around Tiger? What can we expect this week from Tiger Woods?
I got to say, this is about the least excited it seems that anyone has ever been for a Tiger Woods performance. Which is sad in a way. And, someone asked me the other day if I thought he would make the cut or not. And I said, I don't think he's going to make the cut. I mean, I hate to say it, this is, of course he won here in 2000, but that's another lifetime ago. And at the Masters, he has all that course knowledge, and let's be honest, it's easier to make the cut at the Masters. It's a top 50 out of about 90 players, and you have amateurs and some older guys in there. So, and he has that course knowledge, and he had that motivation, the extra motivation to break that cut streak record at the Masters. He doesn't have that here at the PGA. I just don't know, if he doesn't have a great start and isn't in contention, I just don't see, even as much of a fighter as we know Tiger is, I just don't see him having quite the same motivation there. And this is a guy who's only finished a handful of events in the last couple of years. So the odds are even if he makes the cut, he's not even going to finish the 4 rounds. So for all those reasons, I guess I'm kind of lump me in with the group that it just doesn't seem like many people are talking about him this week.
It's kind of crazy. It's not just Tiger. It's the entire event. I've never gone into a major where we feel like no one even cares about this. Golf I know was humming during COVID. It was booming because of COVID, and it gave us something to watch, and a lot of people are playing. You walk into this PGA Championship, if I didn't do this for a living, I'd have no clue that it was even going on this week.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly doesn't get the rollout that you get for the Masters. I think overall the move to May for the PGA has been a positive, because it is kind of enclosed within the other 4, whereas we all know it's the 4th major, but when it was the 4th on the calendar as well out in August, it was kind of on an island by itself. So at least now it's in the mix here. I do think they get a little extra buzz by the winner of the Masters. You can always say, oh, so-and-so is going for the Grand Slam. And even though that person has no chance this year, there actually might be a chance, because Scottie Scheffler is so freaking good. So there's a little there. There's, you got the Rory stuff and all the weird stuff going on with him. And you got Scottie with the baby. You do have arguably the 3 best players all coming off a win, which is kind of unprecedented because obviously Scotty missed last week because of the baby. Rory won. Scotty won a couple starts before that. And then Brooks Koepka plays on the Live Tour, and he won his last start. And he's the defending champ here. And Rory's the defending PGA champ. So in terms of heavyweights coming in with, believing that they can win, it's about as good as you can get. But yeah, it's clearly the major that we kind of, we forget about a little, unfortunately.
All right, so Alex Myers here with us. Let me start you off then out of the guys that you just mentioned with Rory McIlroy. For people that don't know, he won last week, like Alex said. Obviously, divorces don't happen overnight, so that must have been on his mind, and he was able to still win. But he, came out publicly that he filed for divorce this week from his wife. Do you think that has a mental impact on such a mental game that we call golf as you go into the PGA Championship, where Rory hasn't won a major since what, like 2014 or whatever it is?
Yeah, 2014 at Valhalla. So it's so weird because on the one hand, he's got all the momentum. He's got the history of Valhalla and, okay, I'm going to break this 10-year drought here. And then you have this divorce stuff come out. To your point, for sure, this has obviously been going on for a while. And all of a sudden, he's flipped the switch recently and played great. So part of me says, hey, this might be a weight off his shoulders, and now he's freed up to play. That being said, you just never know how someone's going to react once it actually goes public. And once you see the headlines and, you're beaten over the head with it and people start asking you questions about it. And, it's a little different once it's in the public versus when it's in the private and you're controlling it and you know what's going on. So I think, the jury's out there. We got to wait and see how he reacts to it. But I think overall, there's a lot more pros to like Rory this week. I don't like the plus 700 number or whatever ridiculous number it is. But other than that, there's a lot more pros in his corner this week heading into this tournament.
All right, let's go to Brooks. We know for so many years, right, with Tiger, you walked into a tournament and who was like, who else is gonna urinate down their leg just by seeing Tiger Woods? Is there at all that effect for just this tournament, the PGA Championship, with Brooks Koepka? The fact that he's won the PGA Championship 3 times since 2018 and the most recent one last year, he won it and put his stamp right back on the sport.
Yeah, I think there has to be for sure. And again, we always say, we don't know how these guys are playing on the Live. Well, we know how he's playing. He just won his last start. He didn't have the Masters that he wanted, of course, but as a defending champ, as a 3-time winner of this event, he's won this event when it's a shootout. Where was that? In St. Louis at Belle Reve. He's won it when it was not a shootout. It was a more grinded out affair at Bethpage. For whatever reason, he just loves the PGA's setup. And it's usually a big, brawny course with thick rough, but he drives it obviously very long, but relatively straight compared to some of the longer hitters. And when he does go in the rough, obviously he has the strength to get out of it. And we all know he focuses the most on these weeks. So no, I think he's got an aura around him, obviously at any of the majors, but certainly this week. And if he wins this week, a 4th PGA would match how many Tiger has won in his entire career. And it would be Brooks doing it in a 7-year span. So yeah, I mean, it's historic stuff. I don't know how you couldn't look at him and at least, be a little intimidated by him.
Let's get to the best golfer on the planet right now, Scotty Scheffler. So we know what happened, odds-on favorite to win the Masters. He does that. Yeah. You talked about earlier, maybe he goes for the Grand Slam this year in that storyline. How many majors do you he already has one. You got 3 more majors, including this week. How many more majors do you think he wins this calendar year?
I mean, it would kind of be stunning if he didn't win another one. Let's just say that. I don't think you can ever count on more than 2. I mean, 2 is anytime someone wins 2 in a season, it's instantly a historic campaign, right? And I think last year it was incredible that he didn't win 1. So it's almost like he's owed at least, another. You can't. If you looked at these 2 years, you'd be like, well, he had to win at least 2, and so he didn't win 1 last year. So it's almost like he's got to win 2 this year. I'm not sure this is the best spot for him, but he still has to be, considered the favorite. If you took away odds, took away everything else, the fact that he not only never has a bad week, he never has a bad day. It's just hard to imagine him not being in contention at least. And yeah, there's the whole baby thing, and is he tired and sleep? I mean, come on, let's get out of here. That was last week. He's here. He's amped up. He's ready to go. He didn't play last week. That would have taken something out of him. So no, I think he's all systems go. And
also the baby thing is ridiculous because going into the Masters, everyone's like, his wife could give birth and he may not be able to finish. And he won the tournament. He had that stress on his mind too.
Not only that, Zach, he wins the tournament and we're like, he's got to get home to his wife. He gets home, he goes out to a dive bar, and then he goes to Hilton Head and he wins there. Like, I mean, that's just incredible. Like, he wasn't even like that into that tournament. He still won. So like, he's that good. It's just amazing.
Who was someone that was close at the Masters that now, as we go to the second major of the year, that you think they'll have another great performance and could potentially win this weekend?
I'm glad you asked. I really like Bryson DeChambeau this week. He showed us something at the Masters. He's been kind of under the radar since he went to LIV. Obviously, he had all the injuries, and then he went to LIV, and so you don't really hear or see him as much. He quietly was top 5 at the PGA last year. That didn't really get a lot of buzz, whereas a few years ago when he was still on tour, he was probably the most talked about guy. But doing it at the Masters, I think, got him a little more on the radar here. The odds makers have given him some respect. I think he's in the 25-1 range, just kind of below the big hitters. He is a big hitter, but the top favorites. I think this course, especially with all the rain it's gotten, how long it's going to play, it just feeds right into him. Where Augusta, I never liked him there. I know he made the par 67 comment years ago and he got burned by that. This was the first year he's played well since then. I've never liked him at Augusta. I think that place is in his head. This place is much more like a US Open setup, which obviously we saw him win at Winged Foot. We saw him contend the next year at the Open. I think this is a much better course for him. And I think he's quietly building momentum and kind of getting back to that superstar status that we saw a few years back.
So you like DeChambeau. Give me 2 or 3 other names that you really like that maybe you throw a few dollars on this week.
Yeah, my biggest bet, I don't know what it is, but Wyndham Clark is calling my name here. If you look at Quail Hollow and Valhalla, you got Rory, who's won both places. You got Tiger, who's won both places. I think it's a very similar comp. At least the back nine of Valhalla is very similar to Quail Hollow. So Wyndham Clark began his his vaulting into star status at the Wells Fargo last year at Quail Hollow when he won. And we were like, that's a nice story, whatever. And then he wins the US Open. Then he wins another signature event. He finished runner-up to Scottie Scheffler twice this year already in big-time events. All he seems to do is contend in big-time events. He didn't at the Masters, but we all know he's a left-to-right player, and the Masters favors a right to left. So I don't know if Augusta's for him. Now he's back at another one of these big courses. He can hit that cut. He's an incredible putter. He hits it a mile. I just think this guy, other than Scottie Scheffler, has proven his worth in the big events better than anybody in the past 12 months. And he's sitting there at 40-1 odds, Zach. It makes absolutely no sense. We love Xander. I love Xander. Xander Schauffele's 14-1. Wyndham Clark, major champion, is 40-1. It makes absolutely no sense. So he's my favorite bet of the week. As far as flyers go, Taylor Pendrith, I mean, this guy just won and then finished top 5 at Quail Hollow. He's a 200-1 shot. I don't get that one either. I mean, again, betting him to win, maybe a little questionable, but certainly a top 20 type bet. And then Will Zalatoris, a guy we've talked about a bunch.
Yep.
Obviously, everybody expects a lot from him. He got off to a nice start to the year, runner-up Riviera. He has really struggled, but I think it's down now to the point where 75-1. I mean, this guy is just a masterclass ball striker, big hitter. At some point, he's going to break through, I think, again. I think the value is just too much to overlook at 75-1 for Will Zalatoris.
Last thing I'll ask you as I wrap it up with Alex Myers. It's crazy when you go through a conversation like this and someone's name just doesn't pop up. Where are we at with Jon Rahm?
Look, I said this was almost unprecedented with the top 3 guys all coming off wins. Rahm hasn't won this year, but he is second on the LIV standing. So he's played quietly very well. He's top 10 in every event. I know it's a lot easier to top 10 against the limited field every week and everything else that's going on that tour. But, he's played well. He's a fierce competitor. Let's remember, this is a guy who said his goal is to pass Tiger's record for 15 majors. And he said that once he was a few years into his career. It's not like he was off to some, he's late 20s already. He thinks he's going to play for another 20 years and he's going to kind of rack up one major a year. He's that competitive. So I think he turns it around. I know the Masters was very disappointing for him. But he was hosting the dinner and he was defending champ and all that other stuff going on.
He looked like he wanted no part of that green jacket ceremony.
Agree. And that was his first chance to, when he was thrown back in and he was upset with how he was treated and all this. Look, you can say what you want about the guy, whether he made a mistake or whether he regrets, whatever.
It looked like me doing yard work, honestly. Like, that's how he did.
Yeah,
It looked like
he looked miserable. Oh, yeah, you should see me. I think he'll be a little more comfortable this week, and I think we'll see him play better. I can't see him having kind of 2 dud majors in a row.
He is Alex Myers, senior writer for Golf Digest. Appreciate the time as always, Alex.
You got it. Go Knicks.
There we go. Big Knicks fan, Alex Myers. I also think he went to Wake Forest, too. So big Demon Deacon, too, a few years ago. I remember him talking a little bit about Wake Forest. All righty. We will take a break here. We'll come on back. When we do return on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network, got to squeeze in a football point. Got 2 teams that I wish Kirk Cousins would have been on this year outside of the Falcons, because clearly it is not the Falcons after them drafting Michael Penix Jr. We'll get to that on the other side. Update time for our series, the Ackman, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flag.
Well, there'll be 5 games internationally next year for the NFL and 2 streamed on Christmas Day. The rest of the blanks will be filled in tonight when the schedule will be officially announced. But Netflix, the big winner of the Christmas Day showdown for the next 3 years. And those games will be the Chiefs taking on the Steelers, and the Ravens will meet the Texans on the holiday. 2 games on the NBA playoff schedule, starting with the Cavaliers and Celtics in Boston, which holds a 3-1 series lead and looks to move on to the Eastern Conference Final for the 2nd straight year. Donovan Mitchell's status uncertain after missing Game 4 with a calf injury, and the Thunder host the Mavericks with that series even at 2. Baseball today, the Brewers clubbed 5 home runs in a 10-2 win over the Pirates. Brian Delacruz's 2-run homer early was the difference as the Marlins beat the Tigers 2-0. Adley Rutschman went deep for a game winner in the bottom of the 9th. And the Orioles topped the Blue Jays 3-2. The White Sox blanked the Nationals 2-0, giving up only 3 hits. Right now, bottom 5, it's the Mariners 2, Royals 0. Rockies lead the Padres 7-0, top 6. Diamondbacks 2, Reds 1, top 9. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Hey, like us on Facebook. Our handle is INF Sportsnet. That's INF Sportsnet for our Facebook page. This is the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick from the Backstreet Boys. And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Oh my God.
It's time to answer our Ask the Pros question of the day. It's brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Eddie in Atlantis says, Zach, do you think it was a mistake now looking back at the Falcons to sign Kirk Cousins? You could submit a question by tweeting at INF Sportsnet or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag AskThePros. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Let's get to Kirk Cousins on if he regrets coming to the Falcons with them drafting Michael Penix Jr., then I'll give you my answer.
I think it's similar to the call that Mark D'Antonio made to me in 2000. That would have been 2007. When he said, hey, we're going to offer another quarterback. I know you've signed. Nick Foles, you guys are going to have to compete. And it's like, okay, let's just take the next step. And then I was drafted right with Robert Griffin. And it's, hey, you're going there with another quarterback in the same class, okay? So this is more the norm than the exception. And I think the response is that this is the exception when really, if you know my story, this is more the norm of the journey. And it's more of let's just start working and start building together.
That's a lot of words. Where he's trying to make it say, yeah, no, I would still re-sign with them, and we all know the answers now. He left Minnesota because they told him they were going to draft his replacement. So he could tell me about his college days at Michigan State, or he could tell me even when, it was the reverse way, when, at the time the Redskins drafted Robert Griffin III, and later in that draft, they took Kirk Cousins, and eventually Kirk took over the reins there in Washington. So you can tell me whatever you want. You would not have signed there if I told you the day that they signed you, or you're about to put the pen to paper, that in a few months they're going to draft Michael Penix Jr. 8th overall. You still signing that contract? You still signing $100 million guaranteed, or would you have tried to get that money somewhere else? Of course. He would have tried to get that money somewhere else. So I think it would have been better for everyone if we would have just known that Michael Penix Jr. would have been picked there, or they were considering it, instead of the story that they get that they fell in love, they eventually took him, and they already had Kirk Cousins there in the 4-year contract, $100 million guaranteed. So, no, I don't think the Falcons should have signed Kirk Cousins, even though I was a big proponent and advocate for it at the time, because a few months later, you're drafting his replacement. I'd rather just see Michael Penix Jr. play week 1, quite frankly. Because this isn't a developmental project. This is someone that's ready to go now. So then it asks the question and begs the question that needs to be asked, where else would Kirk have signed? And that's not an easy answer. So the first team that comes to mind, Stu, it's your Raiders. You guys are walking into this season with Davante Adams a year away from basically asking to be traded. You have some momentum with Antonio Pierce. I guess they tried to get a quarterback in the draft, but no one would have predicted that 6 quarterbacks would have gone in the first 12 picks. So maybe they were thinking at 12, they tried to trade up. Obviously, Antonio Pierce wanted Daniels. He wanted him after their connection with Arizona State. But you were never going to get him because he was the second pick in the draft. So after that, I guess they tried to move. Were they in on? I think they were trying to get Drake May, right? Or they weren't going to draft McCarthy or Bo Nix.
I think they might have drafted Nix.
You think so?
I was worried about that.
They were what? The Raiders were 13, right?
They were 13, right behind the Broncos, who were 12.
You think they would have drafted Bo Nix at 13? Man, that would have been something.
Yeah, it would have been something, all right.
What would have happened if they were at 13 and they were between 3 people? Because remember the Raiders, they were down to Brock Bowers, Terrion Arnold, and they flipped the coin reportedly, and it landed on, I guess, tails, and it ended up going to Brock. What happens if there was 3 choices?
There's some kind of triangle that they could,
Did you get a dice?
Yeah, 3-sided dice or something like that.
Something like that. Oh, just a series?
Pick a number between 1 and 3.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. But anyway, Kirk Cousins would have been a good option for the Raiders. It's not a long-term fix, but you could make the playoffs. I'm not saying they would have made the playoffs, but you could argue that you could be in the playoff mix with Kirk Cousins as your quarterback, Davante Adams as your star wide receiver, and on defense, you got Christian Wilkins and Mad Max with Max Crosby. You could argue that. Now, here's what would have been the best destination. I would have loved for the Seahawks to find a way this past offseason to dump Geno Smith, which is complicated with the money, and sign Kirk Cousins. New coach coming in. You have 3 really good wide receivers, Metcalf, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and Lockett. You put Kirk Cousins on that team, that's a 10-11 win team. That should be. That's a damn good team. Even in a loaded NFC and a loaded NFC West, that would have been a whole lot of fun. Really, I would have loved to have seen Kirk Cousins land with the Seattle Seahawks. I see my best friend, Largen Park, says the Falcons are ready now with Cousins. Hey, you talking about to win now? Yeah, they could go win a division. Maybe they're ready to move on now from Kirk Cousins. It's like, the moment Kirk Cousins plays a bad game, Achilles, come back from the Achilles, you don't think those Atlanta fans aren't going to be clamoring to see Michael Penix, eighth overall pick in the draft quarterback? And this is not a spring chicken who needs development, right? You got to wait. This guy's ready to go now. So I look at the Falcons, I was high on the Falcons headed into the draft because I thought they were going to use that 8th pick to either get a stud defensive player or a wide receiver. And I looked at the Falcons and I said, that could be a dark horse team. Dark horse. Let me emphasize it. Dark horse team to get to an NFC Championship game. Easy division. You could win 10, 11 games. You win. I know it's asking Kirk Cousins to win 2 playoff games, but it wasn't out of the realm of possibilities for that team to be playing divisional round weekend with a chance to advance to the NFC Championship game. But now it's just like, you don't know how that quarterback situation is going to play out. Where Kirk's the guy you would think for this year, but if he does not play at a great level, which is tough to do, come back from the Achilles injury, how long is the leash for Kirk Cousins in the ATL? So there's 2 teams that I thought of, the Raiders and then also the Seahawks. I'd much rather would see Kirk Cousins play, and you get the best of both worlds. You also get to see Michael Penix Jr. play this year, and you don't have to prop up one to tear the other down. All righty, fun show today. A lot of hoops today. Big thanks to Justin Termini for stopping by, Stephon Marbury, Bart Winkler, and Alex Myers. Big thanks to Ryan Botcher, Stuart Kovacs, and each and every one of you. We will be back tomorrow. Final show of the week for me. I'm visiting some family, so I'm off to Florida on Thursday evening. So I'll do the show tomorrow, and then I'll get on a plane at 8:30, and hopefully the Rangers end up winning that big Game 6. I do not think there will be a YouTube stream, just for a reminder, on Friday. I got to see who's filling in, but I don't think there's a YouTube stream. But we will be back tomorrow on all the places you can consume us right at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. All righty, we out. Bye-bye. Peace.